Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, this week we're visiting with a family of musicians who tied into the Joplin tornado in 2011, a story you may have heard, but we're going to follow up today, following up on Glory Days music and the Peterson family. And I'd like to introduce, we have Ben, Benji, and David. Thank you for all three for being here today.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know people from the Joplin community have heard about Glory Days music. We've been around for a long time, but maybe we need a little bit of background. And I mentioned family ties. How did this all start years ago? The story of Glory Days music.
The story of Glory Days music is we didn't actually intend to start a music store. We intended to start a venue where we could perform and play, and it turned into a better idea was probably a music store. Mm-hmm. And so that was in January, in fact, the 6th of '97 when we started the store.
Actual store. And of course, music is part of your family background. How did the love of music go through family and even to cousins? How did you develop that for your family? David, can you recall your feelings of how this all started, the love of music?
Mom would play piano when we were younger, and everybody took lessons. And so back in late 50s, 60s, she sang on a TV show down in the Texas border. It was a weekly show, and she played piano for all the guests that came on the show. So there's always been music in our family, and our grandfather was a trumpet player and played in big bands and toured all over the country. So we've always been attracted to music, and then in the late 60s when Ben was a teenager, along came rock and roll, and the rest is history. He was hooked, I was hooked, because I would listen to his records. And so.
So you're letting people know that he's the brother who influenced you. That's the older brother.
Yeah.
And tying that together. And Benji, your interest, how did this get it? You're gonna.
I was born into it. You know, I don't know that I had much of a choice really to make, and if I did, I just had a few, and that seemed to be the most available and had the best opportunity. I think we could all agree musically, it's the sort of endeavor that you never quite get total fulfillment from. Mm-hmm. You're always chasing something new that makes the craft fascinating and fun.
So it's always a challenge, or there's something else you want to try?
Yeah, daily, for sure.
I know we have some pictures that you supplied, and we have a picture on the computer, I believe, from, I guess you could say, the early days, if we can call that picture up to let people say, what are we seeing here?
That's the family band. Those are the 5 Peterson siblings in 1983, circa 1984. Ben, starting on the left, that'd be Ben, myself, Dave, my sister Buffy, my sister Susie, and my brother Bob. And
Buffy's wearing a Missouri Southern.
Sure.
Yeah. We at the time, I think we were just call ourselves Peterson, and so. And
where'd you get the name from?
Yeah, exactly. People would actually ask, what did it mean? And we're like, well, that's our last name.
Well, there was Van Halen, there was Bon Jovi. We figured Peterson would
You could use your last name like that.
It didn't work.
There was the Osmonds. I mean, really, come on now.
So your household itself, I imagine, a lot of practice, the music going on within the home while you were growing up?
Yeah, oh yeah, rehearsals when I was young. My band practiced at either our home or another kid that was in the band at his family's home, and kind of traded back and forth. But yeah, we've always played
music in the home and tying them together.
Yeah. Now that photo was taken in the band room, and that was a bedroom that we scrapped all the furniture and made nothing but room for music equipment. And we put foam in the windows, which really didn't help. The neighbors still were entertained quite a bit, but
they could still hear the music outside the home and so forth. And we have another photo that, if people are familiar with Missouri Southern, they may recognize the person they're seeing in the next picture. So.
Yeah, that's Ben and I's father. This would be Benji's grandfather, Dr. Vernon Peterson. He was a Spanish professor out here at Missouri Southern, and he knows a few songs and mostly sings them in Spanish. So I caught a picture of him. That was early when our store first opened in Webb City, probably 1997.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your logo for the Glory Days Rock Shop. And would you say that rock is the signature you want right now? That you
were going for like a old Americana type vibe with this, and we missed it by such a long shot that we thought this really kind of speaks more to the rock thing. So then we threw in the rock shop there. But
So the guitar's plugged into the amp. Okay, here's another picture.
yeah.
Yeah, now, incidentally, we need to clarify, Benji is my son. So this is me and Benji. I think you were 12, maybe Benji, maybe 13 there.
Yeah, that was right about the time I consciously made the choice that I was going to be a musician. Truthfully, it was right about that age.
Well, talking about people learning at a young age, the impression that it has on a youngster, we hear a lot about the importance of music in the schools, kids learning music young. Would you,
Sure.
encourage that in families today?
I would encourage it in families. I mean, it's not the sort of thing that's solely the responsibility of a public school system or a church program or something like that. I mean, get music in the home. There's lots of cool things happening that mainstream, for example, there's video games now that have transcended the plastic joystick sort of toy configuration. And now we're selling real guitars to people that are, for the first time found an interest in playing music and mainstream music, and they're hooking them up to their Xboxes. And they've got a pretty cool interface for learning guitar. And, anything along those lines, whether it's that, YouTube, learning from a family member, or doing the classic garage band route, just get involved.
Get
with
involved in music. And
it's a worthwhile thing.
I know studies have also shown that youngsters who learn music, something about the way the mind works, they also are able to adapt to math or other sciences.
I'm incredibly adaptable. So,
so you can attest to that it really helps you in understanding other subjects and so forth. Another picture that we have coming up today that would let the audience see.
Yeah, that's Ben and I back when we were, we thought we were Van Halen, and we probably sounded a little bit like them. What year do you think that was?
That was 90, 89.
89 or 90,
90,
yeah.
yeah.
The name of the band was Fuchsia, and we had little T-shirts. I've got one on there with pink letters, so we kind of adapted the color at the same time. And
Dave, perhaps it wasn't so coincidental that our new logo features those exact same colors.
Right,
It's just
yeah.
now
Carrying through the theme.
realizing that.
yeah. So that photo was taken at a bar in Pittsburgh, Kansas, McCarthy's, which still has live music today. So
at what point did your family say, okay, we've played in the music room for long enough, we want to go public, we want to start playing at venues and so forth?
Almost right away. We played in, I think when Dave and I and Bob and Buffy and Susie, the siblings, started playing together in 82 or 83, right in there. It was not long after that we were playing for festivals. Like they used to have a fall fiesta in downtown Joplin. Webb City had, was it Mining Days then? Yeah, we performed there. And so lots of events like that. I probably can't even think of them now, but we would perform those. And then we decided at some point there we should probably try to make a living at it, and that's when it got economically frustrating, but somehow we did. And
so then the story, as we say, the story continues from there. Well, at the beginning of the program, I mentioned the May 2011 tornado, which people have followed. What's the recovery in the community, and your family business, your family is one of those that has been featured on stories and so forth. And I think we have a picture here that kind of says a lot, just in, without saying a lot of words. You were obviously very directly affected. Looking back on 2011, the devastation throughout the city, your family and friends really pitched in and helped you afterwards.
Yeah, family, friends, community, non-friends, friends of friends. We made a lot of friends, actually, relationships that still endure now. It was we weren't the only ones, obviously, but it was a powerful experience, and a lot of what happened after the fact was unexpected, and of course there were some pleasant, positive things that we were able to experience throughout all that.
Right, and carry through. So the devastation, but then picking up the pieces and carrying on. Was that ever a question? Your family saw the destruction and said, we must go on?
Immediately, of course, that was what we wanted to do. It took 2.5 years
to reach that point.
to reach that point, and that there was interim there where we weren't sure how we were going to be able to do it again. We literally started over, and so there was some good planning stages there that helped us define and focus what our new store would be like.
Right.
And that was, in retrospect, very beneficial because we could just kick around anything because nothing at that point might really even happen. You know, we weren't sure how it was going to come together.
So you literally lost everything in the storm.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then you had to start from scratch and
Yeah.
and try to, where do we go? That pause then perhaps you feel may have helped you to kind of take perspective on really what do we want to do?
As it turns out, yes.
And working
Probably,
Okay. Well, I understand as you were looking at rebuilding, the music community supported you, not only locally, but you had national support. That people would, step in nationwide to help you in your efforts. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, orange amplifiers. You saw in that picture of the tornado, there was some guitar amplifiers that literally had an orange Tolex covering. That company stepped up and raised several $1,000s, close to 10, right at 10 actually, that they literally donated directly to the three of us that we used to live on. And what they did was they had professionals, like some members of Rush, sign some symbols, and they put this auction site together, and through the auction site they raised this money that they then donated directly to us. So Orange, we're forever grateful to that company, and today in our new store you will see the Orange amp line.
So that really makes the music world come home when you have suppliers like that willing to say, we want to keep you alive.
Oh, and no less from across the pond. Anyways, as a matter of fact, it came to Cliff Cooper, he's the CEO of that company. It came across his desk, the picture that you just showed, and I guess his immediate reaction is, what can we do for these guys? And funny enough, we've had quite a bit of correspondence directly with Cliff since then, and like Dave said, just Orange, what a company, you know. So
yeah, in case people don't know, across the pond, they are manufactured in England.
Right.
So that's where those amps come from, and I think they saw the picture on a CNN or something.
Right.
A news story
a
afterwards.
news story afterwards, and that's their amplifier, so that's how that started. And
so they knew you were carrying their product
right,
pre-storm.
of course, they were aware of that, at least at some degree, because we were dealers, but it gave them an opportunity to reach out and help us, and also prove how good their amplifier line is, because that one, there's a car on it, and 4 days of rain, and all of this stuff worked.
Just plugged it back in and it worked again.
It worked again after it dried out. It worked, and you can't say that about everything that went through the tornado.
No.
Right.
And they weren't the only company that helped. There was Yamaha drums and Sabian cymbals and 2 or 3 other companies that all pooled in on that actual auction. So that was really nice.
Really helping you along those lines. So in addition to losing building, you also lost a home. So like many people, having to rebuild the home side of things as well.
In a matter of 2 minutes, Benji and I were homeless, jobless, and carless. So.
But it was okay because I was getting married in 2 months.
So you had your
And the
future
church
planned.
was
The church was gone too, right?
The church I was getting married in was gone too. So.
I had all kinds of time on my hands to really square things away, figure it out.
Well, we're able to talk about it this way, 3 years after the fact, but the community as a whole obviously suffered a lot at that time, but the comeback trail, you have a new location now. Tell me about, how you decided and where you're at and what's happening now.
You want to know our process? Our process was pretty laughable. The three of us in a car on whatever day was free, which was most of them. Most days were pretty wide open at the time, and I think we looked at, what is the number, 38?
Yeah,
38 locations that
you had
we
a
were
list.
trying.
We
tried to, find a suitable location that would meet our needs, and that was quite a process. But obviously, due to the tornado and there being such a massive loss of
there were fewer places to look from.
Sure.
Right.
And that location came up kind of after we gave up almost. I mean, we were done. I mean, we were like, I guess we're not going back in business.
Oh, well, hang on, Dave, you didn't say that. What Dave said was, this one will work. And then we would go over here and Dave would say, this one will definitely work. I can see strings.
So you kept straightening.
And everything just became more and more modest and humble looking, and you know, I wanted our store. Well, we all did.
Benji and I kind of got at odds because I was like, you know, I don't care what it looks like. We were looking at a 700 square foot place on Main that looked like a dump, but I was like ready to do it.
You wanted to have a
and
business.
he was like, no, that is not the image we want. And I'm like, who cares about the image? I want to get back in business.
I do. I just couldn't get past it. Something about the words, it looked like a dump, that just didn't quite resonate in a hopeful way for me.
So we have a picture which shows the new location.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's...
So you have a new store and you've been able to rebuild, and
Yeah.
I imagine a couple of years, or did your customers keep in touch with you, the ones that miss being able to use your products and or follow up on them?
Some definitely did, but what's funny is we've been open 6 or 7 months now, and we still have customers that were loyal friends, you know, beyond customers, that will come in and say, wow, I had no idea you guys were back. I had no idea you were even open, which is of course followed by, I'm so glad you guys are back. Finally, the music store that the Joplin area deserves is sort of the consensus.
So you're focusing on rock and roll music, basically. Primary focus of the business?
Well, I think what we're saying by that is the instruments that are used to play that. I mean,
Okay.
if you watch any of the Tonight Show or whoever's on that now, it's always changing, but or the show Nashville, a lot of the products that we carry, i.e. orange amplification, is front and center on all the stages.
So it can go to different types of music,
It can go
right?
to different
Yeah.
genres. We handle and are the dealer for Ludwig drums exclusively, and Ludwig is shown well on all of the television shows on late night, as well as Nashville. So we're saying rock shop because that's what we like, but there is a bleed over of.
So if you like country, you can still come in the store
yeah,
and find
you
what
can
you
still
need.
come in the store and
Your skin's not going to burn or anything when you walk in.
I think what we're trying to define there, though, is that we're not a band and orchestra store anymore. We did do that.
So if you're looking for a violin, you're not going to find a
Yes,
violin.
and we did do bluegrass. We had the violins. We had the
if you want a tuba or, you know,
Yeah.
flute.
But the advantage of doing it the way that we're doing it is, I would only be able to lend expertise that I read off of a description on a tuba, whereas we're competent in the instruments that we're representing now. I play bass, Ben plays bass, plays drums, I play guitar, Dave plays guitar, fiddle, and sorry,
Yeah.
let that slip.
Yeah.
Plays guitar, keyboards, what
Keyboard.
other mainstream instruments? But that was certainly part of where we were coming from. That was comfortable for us. We can have really good in the field sort of conversations with our customers now about what we're carrying, as opposed to just being able to provide it.
I'm saying I sell this, but I don't really know how to use it. Yeah.
yeah, and that doesn't happen in our store.
What about, you know, lessons? You're talking about the youngsters and so forth. If somebody has that aspiring youngster who wants to learn how to play the drums, you know, Mom, I want my own set of drums, or I want to learn how to play the guitar.
Sure.
Do you have opportunities for that, where somebody can come in
Definitely.
not knowing anything and say, I'm going to show you how to do it?
Yeah, that's an excellent opportunity.
That's what we do. That's part of our expertise. We've been teaching kids, children, young adults, middle-aged, even senior adults for 17 years how to play and enjoy music. There were a couple of times where for a year and a half we did a
School of Rock.
School of Rock and we had a youth School of Rock and we had an adult School of Rock, and there's a need for that. And you know, we've talked about possibly doing that again, but it's still new for us. This 6 months in, so things have to evolve and
develop.
happen in time. But as far as lessons go, that's something we take seriously, and we will teach you how to play.
Now, you mentioned seniors. I'm curious because sometimes people say, you know, I've had a guitar in my closet for years. I played when I was a teenager, but I haven't touched it. Is that person still someone that you can come in and say, do you remember, and try to teach them again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've had, in fact, there was a gentleman who retired from pennies was he 65, Doc? And he'd never played, but always wanted to. And I think he's still alive 17 years later, and he's still playing. So Dave taught him how to play. It wasn't easy. We're not going to say that.
Right, the older you are, somehow more challenging. Right.
But he did it, and he's still playing as far as I know.
It's not as much of an obstacle as I think the general perception is to get to a point with an instrument like we're discussing where you're comfortable and actually feeling a satisfaction of playing it. You don't necessarily have to shoot for the stars and be Mr. Eddie Van Halen or something like that. There's so much to be gained just from having an instrument in the hand or being behind a drum set, that really gives you a lot of satisfaction. And a lot of the time that can be taught in as little as a couple months.
So David, do you see people like that who come back and take lessons that makes a difference in their life? Their little light bulb flashes, I didn't know I could do this, even that confidence increases.
I have got a couple of older students, I'm almost 50, but 55, 60, and both of them have been playing guitar for years, but they want to develop a little more flash and technique and panache on the guitar, and both of them are at the same point. So I'm kind of teaching both of them at the same time the same things, and they're really having a ball with it. And they've been coming for 4 or 5 months now since we've been open, and they're enjoying being able to finally, now that they've been playing in their in their 60s for 20, 30 years, finally, do something besides a G, C, and a D chord. They're able
a little more advanced in technique.
Yeah, a little more advanced in the technique. And one of the gentlemen asked me, he goes, "Look, if you've got some agenda, I'm not interested, but if you can show me in a couple of lessons that you're actually going to be able to help me." And so then he's been with me for 5 months. So, and our lesson room right now is the best it's ever been. We've got 2 really nice drum sets side by side, and then we've got 2 guitar amps, and it's really decked out nice. So
I might also add that if you take lessons at Glory Days Music, you're taking from the owners, myself, Benji, my son, Dave, my brother. We're the instructors that teach you how to play music. We don't have other people.
Don't bring other people in to do
the
teaching.
We're the instructors, and so I think that's a big benefit.
We're also the janitors.
That's wear a lot of different hats in the business, right? Well, I know you were also, before the storm, your business was known for providing music to the community, and just the entertainment aspect of music. You had Saturday Night Live music shows where people could come in and enjoy. About that aspect of being able to just, hey guys, come on in and we're going to have a music session. Is that something that's important, you feel, for the community to have?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
People may remember we started the Route 66 Music Theater in Webb City. That was us. We did that. And it didn't last as long as that we'd like it to have lasted, but that wasn't in our control. So we started searching for a place to put another music show. There really wasn't anywhere, and our store was big enough, so we decided to do it there. And it caught on, and we played for 8 years every Saturday night with few exception. In fact, played the night before the tornado. So that Saturday night we were winding down, and the next day, that's the last time we played in the store with a live crowd there. But it is something that we like to do. It's twofold. We enjoy it. We want to play. That's our golf. That's our fun time. And B, we're playing the instruments that we sell, the brands that we sell.
So you're people demonstrating
can
while you're playing.
Hear them, and they can also see, hey, these guys can play this stuff, not just scan it with a wand and tell me how much it is, and not be able to play it or demonstrate it. So, and it's also good entertainment for the community. I mean, people that aren't musicians come to hear our live music show.
So people appreciate music.
Right, exactly.
And do you foresee this in your goals as you continue to rebuild and develop your store and possibly doing this again for the community?
Yeah, definitely.
We've been rehearsing, so
for a long time. It seems like we're about due for a show.
Yeah. We have lots of issues in order to get the show going that are financial, which would be tables, chairs, and high-end popcorn machines. So when those financial issues get met and we're able to do those things and buy those, then the show will be on. The band is ready. We could have a show tomorrow if we had those things, but
All the pieces have to fall in place.
Yeah,
as they say.
we wanted to get the store going first, so we didn't want to set aside $4,000 for that when we knew we needed to fill the store up first. So that's going to come as money allows.
Well, for each of you, people who are watching might be curious as far as who do you feel has had the most influence on the music world, or perhaps on you, and inspiring you to, continue this love of music, a lifetime love of music. I guess we'll just kind of go down the line and let you start off.
Well, I have a lot of influences. When I was young, I was fortunate in that the radio played every genre. It wasn't how it is today.
We have specialty on each station.
Right. I grew up listening to country and western, both kinds of music there, and rock and soul and funk, and just grew up listening to all of that and enjoying all of that. So I'm kind of a product of the 60s, 70s.
The radio era.
Yeah, as far as my music inspiration, that it would be then.
Thanks to the broadcast medium.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I first, like the picture indicated, I started on electric bass, really was my first instrument of passion. And pretty much my natural inclinations and processes see who's out there that's really doing something special with that interest. That's kind of what grabs me, and then emulate, learn, be derivative of that. Jaco Pastorius was monumental when I was growing up. I remember being 14 and just transcribing till 6 a.m. Something pretty difficult. And
so it's a learning process continually.
That is, well, it is a learning process, but it's all geared towards improving your craft. You have a drive as a musician, and really, you can't justify it. You can't explain it because it doesn't pay very well. Really,
it's a personal.
It's a different kind of form of motivation, and to be a musician and get that satisfaction. When I started playing guitar, again, it was the same process. Who out there is just really doing something phenomenal, and I immerse myself in whatever that latest thing is on a daily basis, and I play. I mean, we each practice all the time.
So we stop by the store, we're going to hear somebody practicing.
Oh yeah, please.
Sharing that music. So, and Dave, you would agree that this love of music is something that's going to continue for you and your family.
Oh yeah. My influence would include anybody from Leonard Skinner to Ted Nugent to Kansas to Journey to
Buddy Holly. You're a big
Buddy Holly to Boston to just lots of rock and roll bands from the 60s and 70s and even 80s. So
Right.
What's cool between the three of us, the fact that we're doing everything down at the store, is we have such a massive range.
Between the
three of us, I kind of focus on whatever is the newest thing coming down the pipe, but I can't really give you a qualified breakdown of Marty Robbins or something like that, but he can, and he doesn't even know who Meshuggah is or Periphery is, the bands that I'm into. So it's great how we kind of fill in each other's knowledge.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank the three of you for visiting on the show today, sharing some information for our audience.
Sure.
No, you're welcome.
Very
It's great to have us.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'll see you again next week at the same time on this station.